Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are thrilled to have you, and we are really looking forward to hearing about how to foster authentic diversity. So this summit is meant to highlight the diversity of Latinidad. And so I thought we could dive right into it and start with you. Tell us kind of about your cultural background and what Hunter referenced your family's move to the US.
Yes, so I am humbled to be in this space and to have the opportunity to just share my story. And Wendy, we both talked about a little bit about our stories as well. I know you and your family make your way from the US to South America. My family and I made our way from Peru, South America to the US. And again, thank you for choosing a wonderful place that is so rich and it comes with so much culture. So I think this will be like my plug. If you have not visited Peru or South America, please visit. It's beautiful. But just sharing a little bit more about why we came to this country. I was 13, as you mentioned, and like a lot of the stories of dreamers and first gens, my parents sought a better life for themselves, for myself as well. Like seeing so many hardships in Peru, their small business was failing, the economy wasn't getting any better. There were all these what ifs about their future, my future as their child. So they left everything behind. They came to this country, leaving everything from like family, degrees, the culture, norms, everything. And they became part of the working class here and actually in California. That's where our journey started in Long Beach, California, to be exact. And a city, and I would say like a state, not foreign to diversity. Being Peruvians, we actually felt as a minority within the Latinx Hispanic community. We didn't have a big presence as a Peruvian community in California, and growing up and just being able to be there, the child as an immigrant and not having a network to be able to tap in. My parents were able to just tap into their small network that they had at the moment, continue to build that community and being able to find jobs through them. And that was amazing. And then for me, learning the language, learning, a new space and being a teen at the time and just tapping into the Mexican American community that was so big in California. And I think that I focused a lot on building relationships at that young age.
Thank you for that background and, really sharing your story with us. So we talked about this, moving to another country kind of on the other side of the world, basically, is never easy. And I'm sure at 13, that was, even harder. I have been there on the other side of things, having to learn a new language, deal with, a new culture and how people act, what the social codes are. And it's never an easy experience. And I have to say, I have flown over Peru a bunch. It is on my bucket list to do some mountain climbing there. So you'll have to give me some recs. But I really want to dig into what you mentioned, kind of being a minority within a Latinx majority. So it's true that the Latinx culture is such a big tent of, all the different Latino cultures within it. So kind of tell us a little bit more, what was that experience like? You mentioned like building a network within the Mexican community there in Long Beach, but how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I think I started noticing a lot of, like the diversity within the Latinx community once I came here, once I met different groups of people, and I think I saw the opportunity to find what like our commonalities, like our similarities among us, and then be able to see that even though that maybe we would say the same word and it would mean different things, from different countries. And just like, I think we coming and sharing food, sharing about our experiences, our parents and all of that. I think that was like something that was really helpful for me to find that community. And like you mentioned, and feeling that even though that I was new to this place, that I can count on different people who spoke the same language in a way, and push me to see that there's so much out there for me to explore. And then that was like the hope, that my parents wanted me to have, like those opportunities, that network, that community, and learning so much. And I think like it goes back to me with growing up here and being able to see that a lot of people were having opportunities and having different jobs. And then I started wondering as well, because a part of my childhood in California, I actually was undocumented and I didn't have a lot of opportunities. And I thought that even though my parents had all these hopes and dreams for me at the time, and I was just like, but I feel that I want to do all those different things, but I also feel a little limited. So I wanted to build that community to also learn about their own journeys and seeing that they could be opportunities for me as well, even at the time that I didn't have, that I felt that I didn't have those in place.
Yeah, and that is a huge blocker. The US legal system is a beast. And, being a teenager in that situation, kind of, seeing this huge system, it really helps to have that community that you built there to kind of help you out and help your family out as they kind of adapt and grow into the new culture. I want to turn a little bit, as some of these experiences, particularly in education, really kind of like lit a spark for you, and kind of talk about your experiences in higher education and how that motivated you throughout your career. Could you tell us about what your experiences and how that kind of motivated you to talk about inclusivity within education?
Yes. So as we know, education opens a lot of doors, and that's where I really, really focused on. I was like, I have the power to have the education that I want here. And for me to be able to open those doors for myself, for my family, for others. And something that I started noticing like on my transition to high school was that even though I had built that community within the Mexican American community, and also that Black community in Long Beach, California. And at the time I was thinking, why aren't we talking about college? Why aren't we talking about like majors and everything? Because that was part of like the norm in Peru growing up. Like they don't really ask you if you're going to college. It's like, okay, what are you majoring in? Where do you want to go? Where are you studying? So I was like, why are these conversations not happening? And I think I started questioning a lot. And then I started thinking as well, maybe because the leaders that we see right now, they're accessible to us and visible to us, like they don't really look like us. Are they really representing us? Are they thinking about, our own experiences, our own journey, like everything that we bring into our work, our studies? And so it made me think that maybe it's not possible for us to be in a position of leadership because we're not the ones making those decisions, because they're not including us in a way. But I was like, how do we get there? How do we break those barriers? How do we like take like opportunities and really hone in into like this non-traditional path that we're living in? And I think that pushed me to like get really involved with a community. I was like, I know through like service and through volunteering, it's such a uniting force that no matter like, your color, no matter your language, like you just come together and do a lot of volunteer work that matters. And I think I started like tapping into that network, like community service and engagement and all of that. And it really helped me see that through this opportunity, we can bring others in. So that's the opportunity I took once I got to college, and I got involved into business organization. And I started being part of the board and doing a lot of community service within those organizations, that I knew that it was possible for me to continue that work and be able to extend those opportunities and bring people together. And in one of those events was where I met a powerful Latina who was just making waves, and she didn't really care that she had an accent, and she's like, I am powerful, I can make all these connections. And she was really about bringing bringing in opportunities, bringing others with her and making conferences. She was the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Long Beach at the time. And I saw myself in her and I was like, I want to be able to learn so much from her. So I sent her a message. I told her, I want to learn from you. I want to be able to just hear what you're doing. And yeah, so I sent her a Facebook message at the time and I was like, I just want to be able to be in your network. And she took me under her wing. She not only like told me, Jasmine, like you can learn from me. She told me, she's like, nope, you're going to work with me. And so she's the one who really like opened those opportunities for me. And yeah, so I think like the power of education, the power of service, like there's so many ways, we can continue to like bring others with you and build those opportunities, especially when people who look like us are thinking about us and just bringing us to the table, bringing chairs to make that table bigger. And I think that's what really matters.
I love that. I love that. So first of all, I love your like ganas, your will to go out there and look for those leaders that look like you. You didn't, immediately see within the educational system leaders that look like you, and you went out there and built that community. You knocked on doors, you sent those Facebook messages to, leaders you hadn't met before. And, that's not easy. It's kind of an intimidating experience. But I really love that purpose of building the community. So, not only were these doors open for you, but then you could go on and through your work, open those doors for other people. We talked a little bit about a program that you spearheaded with this leader that you mentioned. Do you want to tell us more about the program that you led? I think it's around internships.
Yes, so I started working with her. I was part of events, and I think I mentioned this to you, but she told me, Jasmine, she didn't say like, are you ready, to just speak in front of 200 people or like build partnerships, continue to build partnerships with top 500, companies. Like she pushed me out there and I just did it. And I think that was incredible. And she also trusted in like my strengths and my skills and we partnered together and we're like, okay, there's so much opportunity within Cal State Long Beach because there's a lot of Latinos, there's a lot of like Black students that we can continue to foster it and mentor. So we created a mentorship program that actually helped build that bridge between like the students who were there, who wanted to continue to get involved, who wanted to get mentorship from executives across Southern California, like businesses and companies. And we were able to create that. And so it was around like a 3-month opportunity. And then from there, they actually receive a lot of internships. I think the light just turned off in the office. I think it should be coming on. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
And so I think like that opportunity itself just opened those doors, and for people to believe that through this, that they would be able to not only like build those relationships, because at the end of the day, it's like building those relationships, but knowing that the opportunities exist and there were other leaders who were also Latinos, who were also Hispanic, just coming in and be able to build that, partnership with them, taking them under the wing, like same thing as the president, Sandy is her name, and just took me in and to do this work in partnership. They also did that for a lot of the students at Cal State Long Beach at the time.
I love that. So you went from, as you mentioned, being undocumented to giving talks in front of 200 people, a huge shift. And you also developed a mentorship program to give the same back to your community. I read on LinkedIn the other day how people having a wide network of people of different socioeconomic statuses, different places in the country, really having that diverse network of people can help upward social mobility so much. So really giving your community those connections to leaders in companies and organizations can really help them get ahead. So you open those doors not only for yourself but for so many people in your community. And I want to flag here, you were nominated for a 30 under 30 award. So you started this at a really young age. Congrats.
Thank you, Wendy. And I think, yeah, that work, like I said, it motivated me to be that person for others. And I think that it didn't let me feel that, even though at the time when I was a teen, I felt that maybe the opportunities wouldn't open themselves, for me or for others who were in the same situation. That actually pushed me to even try harder to find those opportunities for others. And yeah, and then it was the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce who nominated me for that award. And I was, I received that award, and I was just so humble and so happy to be able to be that person for others and continuing to open, those doors and those opportunities.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that journey. And in fact, that kind of helped you transition into talent acquisition. You were actually working in the talent acquisition space for Teach for America, kind of helping build that next generation of educators.
Yeah, so I actually, all of that work, and I had a friend in my network, and she told me, Jasmin, you've been doing a lot of mentorship programs, recruiting and speaking in front of audiences and all of that, and doing a lot of meaningful work for the community, especially for minorities. Would you be interested in joining the recruiting team at Teach for America? And I was like, yes, I want to be able to be part of that work. I joined, and it provided me the opportunity to not only be part of the recruiting team, starting as a recruiter, but also make my way. And I was there for 5 years and being able to also recruit at my alma mater. So all full circle here, and be able to connect with the students that I was, at the time, like a few years ago, like a few years before, I was one of them. And just knowing that I wanted to share those opportunities with them, and we had a lot of opportunities for them. And also we not only like that program that we had available, like through internships, through like full-time positions, like that was available for residents, for DACA members. So it opened like so many opportunities that I thought would be great, for me to share with others, and for them to see that they could, this could be the opportunity for them too.
I love that. So really bringing that back full circle to where you went to school, and helping recruit that next generation of educators. But let's shift gears a little bit, because now you're here on behalf of Expedia Group, which is our platinum sponsor of the summit. So shout out to Expedia Group for sponsoring. And so you're fairly new to Expedia Group. So we have a lot of people listening on the line. Audience, of course, we'd love to get your questions for Jasmin. Please pop them in the chat. But I thought you could tell us a little bit about what was the candidate experience like at Expedia Group. Tell us more about what the journey was to join the team there.
Yeah, so if you're considering a career with Expedia Group, I want to tell you that it exists. The opportunity exists for us here. I've been keeping my eye on Expedia Group for a bit, and just thinking about everything that, like, my passions. I love traveling. I love like opening opportunities. They do a lot of I&D work. And I think like it comes back to the mission. Like, it's about strengthening connections and being able to provide, like, empower global travel, for everyone, not a certain group, not a certain race, it's like for everyone globally. So I think like I was interested in that. And my first conversation was with an amazing sourcer, and she mentioned to me, Jasmin, there's so many opportunities here. There's like endless opportunities for growth. And that really resonated with me. I wanted to be part of a company that promotes growth, that can bring your skills, can bring your experiences, your background, and make it a value for themselves, for the company, for others as well. And I think that's what really resonated me, that the message was so inclusive and throughout like my interviews, because start with the sourcing screening, and then you get to talk to, the hiring manager, and I'm able to learn a little bit more about the work, about what they're looking for. And I think like I had the opportunity to do that. And my hiring manager interview was with a Latino, and he told me like so many things about the opportunities here. It's like, Jasmin, we are doing this so well. There's so many opportunities for, for us to continue to grow here. And that helped me think that there is a seat for me there. There is a position for me there. And then through all the interviews that I had after that, I kept hearing about the values, about the opportunity to build community. People were really keen to like hear more about my own journey and my experiences. And they were just really listening, like actively listening of everything you're doing, no matter if like you had a non-traditional path, no matter if like you at the time, like I was in non-tech, like I was not part of the tech sector, you're bringing in all of this transferable skills, you're bringing in all of these experiences, and going to help us, make our team better. And I think that's the same messaging that I heard like throughout the interviews. And I wanted to be part of this work. I wanted us to be able to continue this. And once I was given the opportunity, I was extremely, happy and feeling blessed that I had the opportunity to be that person for others again, and be in that space in this global company that I know that I can connect with others and let them know about my story. It doesn't matter, what color of skin you have, it doesn't matter like if your background, doesn't matter if you were undocumented at the time, doesn't matter if you have a non-traditional path, it doesn't matter if you still have an accent, like you have a place, in this space. And I think that's what motivates me every day, that to be able to be that person for others. And since my conversation from my sorcerer, and her name is Lizzie, and I always quote her because she was the one who, provided me that support throughout the process. And now I get to work with her and get to work with an amazing, team of sorcerers and learn, so much from them, and just helps me like become a better person and a leader too.
I love that, kind of taking what you learned and sharing that message again with the talent you're working with, telling them that there's nothing that you can stop them. These kind of imagined barriers in our head, where we're from, our education. I've never worked in tech before. All of these are fears, but we can overcome them and move forward, make that difference. So I love to hear how you're sharing that. So I had the pleasure of speaking with Expedia Group a couple months back, and I learned about the amazing ERG culture that y'all have there. I was speaking with the team about your disabilities and neurodivergence ERG. So I wanted to check in, are you active in any ERGs or other initiatives there at EG?
Yes, so on day 2 of my Expedia Group journey, I got to meet the president of the Austin chapter for LEAD, which is our Latinx inclusion group. She welcomed me. She spotted me from, I would say, a few meters. And then she kind of like invited me into that space. They were having like their first event. And I wanted to be part of that space. I wanted to be part of that community. And I slacked there. This time it was not Facebook. This time was Slack. I slacked there, and I told her that I wanted to be part of the work, learn from her and what she was doing. And she welcomed me into the board, and I joined the board 1 month, a few weeks into the role and at EG. And ever since that time, I feel like I had the opportunity to learn so much about our IBGs, and they're doing incredible work. They're doing amazing work. This past month, as we know, it was Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month, and I knew that we were going to be so busy. We were going to do a lot of planning, and a lot of amazing things happened. We were able to collaborate with other companies and bring in and we had like the Latina Leadership Summit a few weeks ago. We had an incredible attendance from externally, internally as well. And so this, just to mention to you, there's like, again, going back into, if we want to create our own journey and drive our career forward, we can. IDG, and there's so many opportunities, and also continue to build, those relationships and honing in your strengths. My number one strength is relator. So I try to leverage that and build relationships with people that I feel that I can learn so much from, and then open those doors for others. And so going back, I got involved in the Latinx IBG. I was able to partner with so many members there and so many people within the IBG. The global chapter has grown so much. This past year, it has grown like 35%, I believe.
Wow.
So it's huge for the lead IBG at IDG, and then just being able to really, continue that work with others and bring it in. Since I'm part of GTA, the global talent acquisition team, like, what are the things that I can do to build that bridge and bring more members and be able to create those opportunities for other Latinx candidates as well. And so yeah, there's so much work in progress, and there's so many things that we're trying to do in the future as well, to be able to continue to connect with other Latinx candidates and be able to bring them in and for them to hear about our stories too.
I love that. I love that. I'm sure last month was busy with Hispanic Heritage Month, but this is really something that continues all year long. This isn't just a month to celebrate, it's kind of living this Latinx, the Hispanic culture throughout the year. So I'm so glad you can share that as a relator. So final question. So we've talked a lot about authentic diversity. And I've seen like bad examples of performative diversity, like I'm thinking the British Bake Off show the other day, but how do you know that EG is a space, has created a space that for you, where diversity is authentic and not just performative?
I think because the culture of inclusion, like it starts from the top and from leaders having that conversation and make it a priority. And at EG, that's what's been happening. And we've been able to, like, even though like those conversations they're bringing us into, what are ideas? What are the things that we should be doing? There are different programs and pilots, like I said, on day 2, I joined the lead, which is the Latinx IBG. A few weeks in, I was able to be part of that board. And then for also within like 2 weeks, one of the leaders invited me to go to Seattle and be part of a diversity sourcing program. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll join. And I think it takes that conversation, it takes that inclusion of like asking me for my ideas and what do I think, and then what are the opportunities that I would see in that space, and just bringing me in, even though I was on week 2 at the time. And I think that was so powerful for me to be able to share with the team, and just for them to be able to create a space that it's the opportunity to bring others, and my experiences were valued at the time. And I think it goes back to like all the conversations that have been happening like across IBGs and the people team and onboarding, and every team is held to the same goals. We want to be able to continue to bring in diversity. We want to be able to work with our communities. And that's not only on the executive team. That's not only, it's on every person. We're all held to that goal, and we're all held accountable to be able to get there. And that work continues. And just having those conversations is so important.
Thanks so much for that, Jasmin. And hear more from Jasmin team in the virtual job fair. Expedia Group will be there this Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So thanks so much. It's back to Hunter and the team. We'll be in touch.
Bye. Thank you.